Hi folks, with Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. Please listen to this presentation as you would a radio broadcast. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the destruction of the Western wealth-creating business sector and the inversion and perversion and subversion of work that is value for money. Value for commercial money and making profits, creating jobs, that sort of thing. So, we've seen through this US aid and the Act Blue and the endless gargantuan levels of corruption through US aid, money being paid, looted from taxpayers, being paid to NGOs. And those NGOs, their only job is to subvert Western society. And they're paid very well for it. But there have been a whole variety of things that have occurred to invert value for money. So, and look, I invite anyone to go onto the online job boards and have a look at, say, a job that is a job I'm looking at that just here that it's a social services advisor for black lesbians, and it pays double what a senior level factory manager would get paid. So the factory manager, he'll be a credentialed, qualified professional producing, manufacturing goods, creating jobs, adding value to the economy, delivering a product that has utility to the user. So a very, in my view, at least a valuable job in a valuable situation. And yet he's paid half of what the social services advisor for black lesbians is paid. Now, that's insanity. No economy that wants to have value for money and productivity and so on would do that to itself. Nobody would do that. It's an absolute madness. But yet there you are. So somebody that works, I've mentioned this before, somebody whose job is to hang out at the universities, mooching with the college kids, and their job is to create a climate activist rent-a-mob, placard-waving rent-a-mob in quick, double quick time, and they're paid over $200,000 a year to do that. They produce, create, build, and deliver nothing. They're just there to be activists. Ideological activists. That's their only role. And if you look at the gazillions, billions upon gazillions that the US aid was distributing, they say, it was to help the starving children. That's bullshit. They were there to fund political activism. Now, a CEO of an NGO would be paid around the average wage, certainly when I was in my early 20s. Today, the CEO of an NGO, a politically active NGO, globalist controlled, all that sort of thing, they're paid like $1 million a year. And all they're doing is doing activism. I'm not sure they're doing any work at all. So they're being paid $1 million to do nothing. Former politicians that are given gifted radio shows, TV spots, doing the interview circuit and so on, they're paid, again, millions of dollars. It's nothing for some of these people to be paid $2, $3, $4, $5 million a year just to run around and say Orange Man bad, and that's it. So this is it wouldn't matter if they were doing these things for free, but they're not. They're being paid and paid handsomely for it. People who are doing very productive work, hard, productive work, delivering value for the society and the community and the nation and the company and all of that. They're paid nowhere near that amount. So we've got a mass inversion here where the most productive people are paid the least and the least productive are paid the most. And propaganda now is the premium value. If you can subvert Western society by delivering propaganda, screaming about Nazis are everywhere, that's going to be one of the best paid jobs around. That's how bad it's come. But this has had a knock-on effect. I mean, diversity, equity, inclusion, affirmative action, race, gender quotas, all that sort of stuff. But this has had an overall knock-on effect in a number of ways. Firstly, many businesses are now run by the BlackRock type organizations, and they force their nominees in as CEOs or boards of directors and so on. So they've got very tight control and oversight of who gets these jobs, and ESG and all that sort of stuff. Again, diversity, equity, inclusion. So, and there are still today, every day, I look at the business websites, and the big multinationals are crowing virtuously about how many black lesbians and how many Muslim women in hijabs they employed today, and all this sort of, again, insanity. But you see it, like I see it right at the street level, day-to-day street level, and I can almost script in advance how these things are going to go. So we were bidding on a contract to do. This is not a Quango, but it's a company that relies quite heavily, or business that relies quite heavily on government contracts. So they don't have to be good at what they do, and it shows, by the way. They're definitely not trying to hire the best people. And so we did the bid. Everything was fine, and it was all. And then they decide they've got to send out someone to interview us, to sort of go through and check on whether we know what we're doing, which I thought was a bit rich. But anyway, they sent out a teenage girl, and so we tried to humour her. And she's been given a difficult job. She's miles out of her depth, and she was quite nervous. And she'd be, I don't know, I don't think she was a teenager. She'd probably be 22, something like that. And she's got some fourth-tier bullshit affirmative action degree in international political science or some fucking bullshit. It's a bullshit thing, gender studies, whatever it was. And so they've sent her out to do it. Now, she has not a single qualification in the area that she's meant to be reviewing, not one. Also, she has no experience in this area, not a single credential, no qualifications, no experience. She's been put into an impossible position. Why would any organization send someone like that out to do this, reconnaissance work, if you want to call it that? But anyway, we thought, okay, we'll humor her. And so I was talking to her, like, what work have you done? And she's got no idea. She answers, she's almost simple-minded. Her IQ's, if it's even 100, I think that would be the max. And she says her only job she's had is working as a recruiter for an NGO to hire placard waivers, climate action placard. That's it. That's the sum total of her work experience. And now she's in this area of high-tech policy type development, that area, I guess, be the simplest way of describing it. And again, miles out of her depth, hasn't got a clue. It's almost embarrassing. I'm almost blushing with embarrassment for the embarrassment she must be experiencing at being so unqualified, and she's not prepared. We sent her information for her, she's not prepared. So anyway, then when we've got to meet the CEO or the C-level executives, and so we sent some fairly bullet point detailed things, so that we could have an agenda for the meeting, and because they weren't clear why they wanted to meet, and it was unnecessary in our view. But so we sent the information. We sent a few other things, so it's maybe 3 pages tops, and we sent it to the young woman who came out, and explained it to her, and she was supposed to pass it on. So anyway, when we arrive at the big meeting, they arrive late, but fine, okay. Now they walk into the room, that they're not qualified. There's a certain way people walk into the room, how they introduce themselves, how they present what they want to talk about, and there's a level of clarity and certainty and surety about their approach. These people had none of it. None of them. 2 brown guys and a white guy. The white guy, I think, was gay, but so that gives you a sort of a feel for it. They've been appointed. They're like the BlackRock type financial entity have appointed these people, and they're not even minimally qualified. So they come into the meeting. It's like this. What are we going to talk about? So, fuck, you've got to be kidding me. You're the CEO, and that's your opening line. So I said, okay, we've sent the information, and we sent this, and we emailed that. I think it came into my inbox, and so and so told me about it, but Look, I had a quick look. I haven't got time to read it. I'm pretty busy. I saw it. And well, the material we need to talk about was sent to you weeks ago. Oh, look, I've got people that take care of that. I don't know. Well, look, why don't we start at the beginning, and I want to hear it from you. No. So I said, look, the reason we gave you that information was so we could start talking, hard details straight away. As is, do I need to go over the whole background of the whole? I want to hear it from you. And this is a power play. It's an affectation. I can't be bothered. I'm too stupid to understand what it is. And this whole thing is a power play where you have to justify yourself to me, and I'm the big man, that type. But this all sounds very tough and everything, but really it's an indication of the poor quality of management. And this degradation in standards of management, people who haven't got a fucking clue are now everywhere. Yeah, now sure you'll find exceptions, but where I come across a straight white male who does accidentally get employed at some of these places, who really does know what they're doing, they're lucky to last even 3 months. They're thrown overboard in the back. Well, they're not quite fitting in, no real complaint, just that, and so we go over it again. And I did pretty much all the talking on this one. So I said, okay, well, going back to the beginning, this is it. Went through it all. Well, I don't really know what you're saying. Okay, well, what don't you understand? And he's crossing the arms and he's looking around. He's being all fucking furtive and everything. I thought, you fucking idiot. You shouldn't even be sweeping the floor, let alone. But here he is sitting in a CEO's job, easily $600,000-700,000 a year for this guy. For what? What's he doing? And the quality of the guy. I mean, I wouldn't have. If that guy sat in front of me for a job, I'd go, no fucking chance, buddy. You're not getting the job. He had quite a charming sort of smile when he decided to put it on. But outside of that, so I came to him, or one of my colleagues actually started getting down into the weeds of the details. And this guy didn't have a clue. And no one in the room did, by the way. So we were the only people that saw. Why are we here? Okay, let's Billy Bob, I asked him, why are we here? What is the purpose of this meeting? If not, what's already been done. I just wanted, I just wanted to, I just wanted to sort of get a feel for, but I really don't know what it is you want. I don't know. Well, we've bid on the contract. Oh yeah, but I'm not. So this is the stand. Now I can script this in advance. I know in advance this is pretty much how every one of these is going to play, give or take, is going to play out. The idiot, the junior flunky idiot is sent out, and then you meet someone who doesn't know hasn't even got the remotest clue about the work and that needs to be done. Now this is not the odd one or two or here or there. This is now a standard script that we come across, multiple times every week. We're staggered if we come across people that know what they're doing. Now, it doesn't mean that people that know what they're doing don't exist. They're just not being put into those sort of jobs. So the type of idiots that are being, stuck in, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, people of that sort of caliber, and now CEOs everywhere, and that's pretty scary. But the impact on Western wealth, of wealth creation, of where rewards are related to what you produce and create, what you build and what you develop, that's all disappeared. It's gone. All those standards and those relationships between value of what you produce and how you get back, that's all gone. Someone that runs around saying Nazis are everywhere will get paid $1 million a year, whereas the factory manager that's producing, designing and producing or developed a new way of improves the factory productivity by 10%. All those guys aren't paid anywhere near that amount. So this inversion and Western wealth is being just frittered away like sand through the fingers. It's madness. But yet here we are. You've been a tacit state, your pushback channel. Thank you for listening.